Good evening, hi there, and welcome. Welcome to MYT Live. I am your host, the founder and the owner of MYT, Paul Nolan. And yeah, welcome to this here live stream. The first of 3 we've got for you in the next 3 weeks. So, don't say I don't do anything for you. Hope you are well and happy and healthy wherever you are in the world. And if you haven't joined us before, then welcome. Welcome. This is something we do fairly regularly and something we started doing, well, when people couldn't leave their houses and it's kind of stuck and now lots of people want to do them. So we're going to keep doing them for now. So it's all good stuff. So yeah, great stuff. So obviously, we're here tonight with Hollt, with our good friend from the Netherlands, and we are also planning a couple of real good ones in the next few weeks. So we've also, next week on the 21st, we have Anjuna Deep's and many more, but mostly Anjuna Deep's Enama, which is set to be a real treat. And then to round off May, we have Rinzen from Dead Mouse's label Mousetrap, Parquet Recordings, who are joining us tonight on the cross post. Thank you very much for that. Hello to Norman and the crew there at Parquet Recordings. And also hello to our friends who are watching over at Decoded Magazine. My God, that was a terrible mistake. How dare I? Decoded, Damien and the crew. Hello, sir. Hello. So, wonderful stuff. And then also this week, there was a big announcement with Logic 10.5. Our video is on the YouTube channel. So we've got people joining us across YouTube, across Facebook, across Twitch, and various other places. So good evening, one and all. However, we are here tonight to speak to one man and one man only. And it's not me, for a change. It's this guy, Hollt. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Hollt. And I'll get him to introduce himself in a second. But since I've known this guy about the last sort of 2 years or so, I've really been impressed by what this guy can do. And I think by the end of tonight, what he's about to show you is going to win over many, many fans. So, yeah, you guys are getting an early glimpse at someone who, in a couple of years' time, is, really going to be going places. So I'm excited to, have it early, shall we say, in our time together. And again, spending a bit of time with him online and just getting to know him. He's also a great guy, a great human being as well. So, the rule here at MYT, we have one rule, and it is, well, no dickheads. So you can be assured that this is basically a dickhead-free zone. In fact, I would go as far as to say that I am the only dickhead. So, there's no room for any more. There's no room for any more. So, yes. But without further ado, and before I start to embarrass myself anymore, I'm going to introduce Jeff or Hollt to you. Hello, Jeff. How are you, mate? Yeah, good. Oh, you're welcome. I try to do my best where that's concerned, and, well, what can I say? It's nice to find someone with worse English than I have. Exactly. And like I told you yesterday, don't judge me by all the other people from Liverpool who come and party in Amsterdam. I am not one of those people. Well, maybe at ADE. Maybe once a year at ADE, but, maybe not this year, right? But, yeah, exactly. Because last year's ADE was fun, to say the least. And to be honest, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this was, as you know, oh sorry, I've had you muted. Sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Sorry. So all of his funny jokes about me being from Liverpool were not heard. So they are going to be edited out of the website version, shall we say. That's me trying to make sure everything's at the highest possible quality, and I've cut the guest off.
Well, I will just be gentle to you. I will just be gentle to you tonight.
Well, yeah, exactly. You won't be gentle with me the next time you see me.
No, why?
Well, probably because of this, right? So yeah, I'm sure he's
yeah.
off and running now. But thank you to the comment section to. Usually I'm getting trolled, but now I've just had some good advice. So thank you very much. So as I was saying before the comments jumped in, Jeff is a great guy, and now you can hear that he definitely does have worse English than I have. But, and again, being from Liverpool, and as we were saying, there's lots of people from my city travel to Jeff's city, and the behaviour is sometimes a little, shall we say, extreme.
Well, yeah. We just got to live with it, right? And then, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So yeah, as I was saying, ADE last year was fun, predominantly because, and one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is because Jeff, for me, wrote one of the tracks of last year, and I dropped it at the peak time at our Chapter 24 records party at ADE, and let's just say there were bar staff hanging off the balcony of the club that we were playing in, or the bar we were playing in, and they were pouring mezcal directly into people's mouths from the balcony when that happened. And the drop of Kaleido, they set the bar on fire. So it was a hell of a moment, and I think I was about 7 or 8 mezcals in by that point.
I mean,
and I may have done a Steve Aoki by that point, but
I've never like seeing someone like so much like with so much dancing moves like in just what is it 3-4 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, dude. I mean, I'm like one of those like windy things you see outside a car dealership. One of those things. Yeah, I'm terrible. Like, I'm the worst when I DJ. It's one of the reasons why I'm probably not going to do much of it anymore, because I just embarrass myself, and I end up DJing in my socks, and
Well, I mean, it's good stuff to see, and thank you for the nice words, man.
No, dude, and if you haven't heard it, the track's called Kaleido, which is just a phenomenal record. And, it's been great to see your development over the last couple of years, dude, from when we first met. I think it was Dance Fair, wasn't it? Like the year before.
We were with the guys from 50 Hertz.
Yeah, with Renz and the crew.
Right?
Good evening, Renz and the crew.
And there were some like questions, and I met you there, I think. Yeah. It was on a Sunday, so like a bit hangover vibe.
Ah, right, okay. Yeah, I get that. Because you can't get through like 3 days of dance fair without like, getting hungover. It's just not possible.
No.
It's just impossible.
Especially on Sunday.
Oh, dude, yeah, the Sunday's painful because I've got to fly back to England,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's painful. But no, it's a great event, and, thankfully it's going to be going on a little bit later this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, hello to Norman and the crew from Dance Fair. And, it was great. And then, obviously, you've got this great concept with the controller and what you do, which is so unique and innovative. So, where did the idea come from for how you play? And to be honest, a lot of the comments we've had so far off people have been about how you manipulate this, how you perform with it. It's such a unique and innovative, looking thing. Like, so how did the Hollt project come together, and when did you get the first idea for it?
Well, it all started with me on school. I did the conservatory of e-musician in Haarlem, here in the Netherlands. And then in my last year, we had to do like things we had to work towards a project until the end. And I found out that I really wanted to do like the live performance part of performing, and not only DJing, because at a certain point I found out that was become for me like a little bit boring. So I remember the first time I had to play live in front of like a class and in front of the whole conservatory. I messed it up so badly. And then the thing was that I just didn't have the knowledge about wiring up everything correctly, and a USB hub that falls out, or your MacBook loses some power, or so. Then I thought, well, okay, I want to do something live with a performance, and then build like just one case or something like a flight case or no matter what. But I just wanted to build a simple thing. Well, in the end, it's not that simple, but the idea was very simple.
It's always simple at the beginning, right?
Yeah. So, but I think the good part about this is that I'm from like one of my problems, I made a solution and ended up with this thing over here. And and then I finished the product where, well, I combined it. So it's not that I build every element myself. It's an APC 40, like the old one, APC 20, and a keyboard and an Arduino display, which I made with a good friend of mine. And that thing just reads out all the data from Ableton I need, so I don't have to look in my laptop anymore. And that's really it. And I put just a clip on the internet, and the guys from ADSR on Facebook, they picked it up, and then it went super viral. And then I was like commenting under it, like, "Oh, thanks, guys." But how should I name this thing? And they came up with the Hollt synthesizer as a synthesizer, nice. And then so that was for me like literally the beginning of performing live. I just had done 0 shows live for audience, except for the one I filmed on school, which that came from, like from the problem to the solution. And so I already got my first live booking without any music because I had to make all my live music for the show. And from there it went off, and especially the lights in it, they.
Oh. Hopefully that's just a little connection issue. Let's see what's going on here. The wonders of live television, people. Let's see whether or not we can get him back, shall we?
Oh yeah,
He's
there
back.
We are.
He's back. Yeah. So you had this live show with like without any music, and I mean, how was the first show? Was it like super nerve-wracking?
Insane. I mean, I just had I had a list. What I had to do, like I have to set it up, then I have to do this and this on my laptop, but I didn't wrote down that I have to go to the toilet just 5 minutes before. So I wrote everything down, like seriously everything. And it went quite well, and it was literally in front of I think almost 1,000 people, and I was seriously shitting my pants.
Are you trying to say you had an accident? Is that what you're trying to say? Or?
Wow.
I mean, like, we're all grown ups here, you know.
Yeah, you cannot smell in front of the computer.
Yeah, no. This is not smell-o-vision, Jeff.
Smell-o-vision. No. It went all good, but it was like, the thing is that you have to trust your stuff even more than just only DJ equipment. And normally, if you're as a DJ, just plug in your USB into one of the CDGs, or you play with your laptop. That's already even more like, you can blame maybe someone else. But with live, I mean, you bring your laptop, you bring your own controllers, and and for a bit amount of parts in it I built myself, so it can break. And I had that like 3 weeks ago. I had to do a live stream, and I played live, and I was like, okay, I'm going to make music for it and stuff. And then afterwards, I fired up the Hollt synthesizer, and I found out that like seriously the APC 40 just went off, like it was dead. So if you travel with it, and I take it with me like quite a lot, then you have to be careful, and you have to maybe build spare parts, and so it's but I just like the idea of that it also can fail or something. You know,
Like a
it
little bit of risk involved, like.
yeah, yeah, because that takes the adrenaline also with me, and especially when you play live. I mean, and if you got like total control of the whole machine during a live gig in front of people who like embracing your sound, yeah, you can go nuts. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah, I can
it's
imagine. Yeah.
it's one of the best feelings, and I had that in the Markantine here in Amsterdam, and yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's one of the best feelings to perform live. It's only your music you put out live, and then to see so many people dance on it and embrace your sound, and that's really cool.
No, I can imagine. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting, like, because it reminds me a little bit of like, and again, this is where I start to show my age a little bit, because you probably don't remember this, but Sasha actually had like a custom controller built for him a long time ago called the Maven controller, which was kind of like the first time anyone had like performed with Ableton, or one of the first times in that
Yeah.
scene, or in the melodic techno progressive scene, that someone had
Yeah.
actually performed with something that looked like a DJ mixer, but it was actually a MIDI controller.
Yeah.
And it was a very similar kind of vibe, and it was almost
Yeah.
like a little ahead of its time, and it was almost like a little too early. But now it feels like the right time for this, and it's interesting that you're doing both this and and DJing as well. And I've
Yeah.
been feeling
Yeah.
this shift in the scene in
Yeah.
the last like sort of couple of years, with what like you're doing, with what the likes of say Stefan Bodzin's doing, Kink, etc., where it's becoming this kind of like hybrid between live and DJing and kind of something else. Like, it seems to be like, I've said this on a couple of occasions. I personally think the way that we currently DJ with decks and stuff like that is, I think in 10 years from now we won't do it that way. I think we're moving, in terms of where you're going, I think we're moving in that direction towards it being more of a personal hybrid or completely live performance.
Yeah, well, I think it's all about experience, and I mean, some DJs, or I mean, nowadays a lot of DJs, they can bring over a kind of experience, but I mean, the listener or the visitor is going to be more, what I mean, yeah, what's there more, so they're searching, and they're going in the end always, I think, for the experience, and for people who play live, for example, or bands, or visuals. I mean, I don't know if you saw the last how did he call they did a show in the desert or something. Yeah, Rufus the Soul.
Oh yeah, that
And
was amazing.
the live stream, but I mean, it's totally full of experience stuff. I mean, everyone wants to be there, and everyone wants to see all the lights and the effects, and and the music, So it's all the experience of the whole life kind of thing. And I don't know if a DJ can achieve that only by playing records.
Yeah. I mean, there is a limitation on like the visual.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean, and it's okay when you're in a venue, for example, or at a festival, and you're in an outdoor space in somewhere like Ibiza, for example. It's great and it's in the moment, it's very immediate, but the way that live performances, I mean, you've got to look at, obviously, Circle do a lot with DJs, and that's a great way of doing it.
Yeah.
But the way Circle, the way, in fact, your take on the way you're playing live on video with, the video with you in the Docklands, the video of you even like, a couple of weeks ago on King's Day on the boat, stuff like that. It's like you're doing stuff that's like really innovative and really like visually quite interesting, which this is no criticism to what's going on at the moment, because
No,
obviously
no,
we're stuck indoors, so there's only like a certain amount everyone can do. But there is only a certain shelf life, in my opinion, for DJs who are DJing at home. And people are going to start asking more from the experience. And one thing, and there's already a lot of people out there who are adding like green screens and visuals and interesting stuff. And they're starting to get really creative with it. So the fact that you're bringing all of these things together, I personally think, you're very sort of ahead of the curve. And I think, with people seeing what you're doing, I think it's going to give a lot of people tonight and forward of this, it's going to give people a lot of, room to think about how they can kind of experiment, because, sort of cards on the table, on my point of view, I'm kind of at the beginnings of building something in terms of a live show, not a controller, but a live show in a very similar kind of feeling to what you're doing. And I'm experimenting with multi-channel audio and surround sound and, interesting controllers and stuff like that as well, that I'm trying to make something like really expressive that kind of pushes beyond the DJ aspect, because I've been DJing for 20 years. And, for me, it's like I love it, but there's more to come from me as an artist.
Yeah, man.
And I feel like there's a lot of people who feel like they're in a similar situation now, where it's like DJing's great for what it is, but the way the technology's gone, there's just so much more that we're capable of doing now.
Yeah, and especially nowadays, I mean, we can go outside, so we have to be innovative, So luckily, I got a good friend of mine as well. Shout out to Keon if he watched, if he's watching now. But he is just like a Superman with a camera in his hand. I mean, he got so many good ideas, and together we are. We're talking about how can we push this even more, and how can we make this a bit special. And we both have a like an opinion about how some parts have to look. And I have some knowledge in Adobe Premiere and in Photoshop as well, but I think that you have to have that as well for the total package. And and I just like to design and to be busy with that as well, also with my own label, with the artwork and stuff. I'm full on it, and I just like it, and it's another part of expressing myself in in the art of me as an artist. And one of the reasons why I did the lights, and it's because of I want to to step it a bit further than just a controller simple on a table, or
and we need to move beyond this thing of there's been amazing live acts over the years that have all in the audible sense have done amazing things, but the sacrifice for that has always been, unfortunately, a lot of people look like they're reading their emails live on stage. And that has always been, I think, one of the big obstacles. But again, with how you're working with the Hollt and the way other people are working with the new technology that's coming forward, like that's becoming a thing of the past. So I think we're looking now at people who are going to break through in the next, especially now, because I've said this to a lot of people recently, and I think I said this to yourself when we spoke yesterday when we did the stream test. The industry as we knew it up until now is gone, and there's been a worldwide reset button pushed. And the story of it is going to be that when we all start to get together again, then it's actually going to be driven by small venues or medium-sized venues, because that's going to be the safest way to do it at first. But that's going to provide an environment where artists like yourself are going to be able to really have a spotlight shown on you. And it's going to bring a lot of innovative new artists to the forefront who can do some shit that is like crazy and that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
So I personally, I think, don't get me wrong, it's like it's challenging times for everyone, and I feel for everyone struggling, but in a lot of ways, I actually think we give this a year or so, I think it's going to be really, really positive.
Yeah, and I also hope that people have, you know, the how do you say that, the long breath
Yeah.
for, like, you know.
Yeah, you're playing the long game, right? You're playing the long
yeah,
term, yeah.
And the thing is that it I mean, I'm not the first one who built a controller, or we are not the first one who tries to, you know, give a show more experience. But I think it's a really good, yeah, as you said, it's a good starting point after all this, what is happening now, that, yeah, maybe people can allow it themselves more, and yeah, be more open for it. And I mean, yeah, Richie Holdt and Sasha, they all do live shows, and they did it, or they, you know, expanded it. And yeah, good example who, you know, was breaking through was Eric Prydz, of course. And but I mean, that show was massive.
It's crazy,
I mean,
right? And you know, he loses money every time he does one of those shows.
Is it?
Right? Yeah, he said,
Oh,
like,
wow.
he does them just because he wants to. Like, he doesn't do them to make money, because the holograms, the holo shows in particular.
Oh man, those are
like,
yeah,
and he's actually personally spending all of his own money
serious
to do that, you know. So
Yeah.
you know, he, as we say in England, he gets a haircut every time he does a show, and he just doesn't care, because it's like, it's cool.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's cool, but I think only by I mean, just for me, I wanted to do like also the visual part, and with my graduation project. So what I did, in Ableton, you have MIDI signals, and there are a lot of visual programs nowadays that can handle MIDI signals. So what I did was just sending MIDI signals from Ableton to the visual program, and then I was like perfectly sync with, you know, with the visuals and with the lights, and all by controlling this knobs and rotators and stuff.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
So
it's crazy.
yeah, but I think that, I mean, only by that saying, I mean, there's a really big world of like filling in and doing your own stuff. And you can do it on a small computer, and just install trial versions. But I can imagine that Eric didn't want to do that by himself.
No.
Only.
no,
Yeah.
no, exactly.
And if you have some money to do it, then yeah, just do it. And
well, yeah, I mean, you could probably, like, you know, launch nuclear weapons from the computers that are controlling the visuals, like, because they're that powerful. You know, they're crazy. It's absolutely crazy, the amount of power it must take for something like that. But even on a basic level, you know, even doing something like that, and there's Max for Live plugins that can do the visual stuff directly within Ableton now. You know, a good friend of ours, John Monkman, he's been playing around with a lot of that stuff recently as well, you know, to do stuff for his live streams and project them and stuff as well. Yeah. So, you know, there are very cost-effective or free plugins available that can do that kind of thing. And, of course, you're something of a Max for Live coder yourself, right?
Yeah, I've became one at the beginning of this year.
Yeah, I think you had to, right?
Yeah. Also, and I mean, I built a lot of new stuff as well. And the first plugin I dropped online was when was it? Like in the end of 2019 or beginning of 2020. And it's just a transient kind of sampler thing. And it's just free to download, and the function was not available in Ableton, so I thought, well, I make it work.
And that was so good, because honestly, what you identified was my secret weapon.
Yeah,
that
I heard
whole
it a lot.
Kind of glitch thing, with the, and if people who are watching don't know what I'm talking about, in Ableton Live, you can manipulate the beats warp mode to do these really interesting sort of granular, gated. Weird textures, and it sounds fantastic, but it is quite literally the only part of Ableton you can't automate. And I've been cursing this for years, because like this was something I did, and the sounds that I designed using this technique like ended up on like the Sasha album, and everything else, and it's just been a common technique I've used across the board in almost every track that I've written for the last few years. And then you come along and then
sorry, Paul,
steal all my thunder and take all the glory because you can code a Max for Live plugin.
Yeah, the thing is that it's so small in Ableton. It's just like a hidden kind of
corner, right? Yeah.
And you cannot automate it.
Yeah.
And then I make just like this button on the device.
Yeah, exactly.
You can miss it. You can miss it.
I used it for the first time on a live stream last week, actually.
Oh, nice.
I was finishing one of my new productions off, and we did a live stream in our MYT AAA group, and we do these. I do this every once in a while, where it's like I'll just work on new material, and people will chip in and say like, "Oh, you could put that there," or how are you gonna arrange this, that kind of thing. It's always good fun, just to jam. Because if I'm sat in the studio just making stuff, I may as well be streaming it and getting feedback from people and getting into a role like that. And I perform better when I'm being watched, but I won't say anymore. But in terms of the plugin, we rolled it out for the first time, and it was like, this is legit, like this is great, because it's exactly the effect that you want, right? Because it's clever the way you did it as well, because it's from within the sampler. Mm-hmm. And that was great, because obviously I'm just throwing audio files straight in and doing it in the actual clip itself. But the way you've done it is that it's MIDI manipulable, and it's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the reasons why I built it, because you have like the same option in Ableton. It's what you say. It's on the clip, and it's inside of the simpler. But on the clip part, I even can get close with a Max for Live device. I search for hours to manipulate that part, and then I found out that it was quite easy to manipulate the simpler transient, and then I made it in like 4 or 5 hours or something. Wow. But it's so much fun, because the good part of Max for Live is that they bring a sort of map, and you just root out the parts you want to control, and you just follow the lines, and it's available online. It's called the LOM. I don't know where it stands for, but LOM. You can just find it on the internet, and then they just explain, okay, you can do this, and then you have to go to this part, and then you have to implement this script, and then it's easy peasy, or easy to say for me now.
Well, I was going to say, right, as I said to Tim Green a few weeks ago, when he said this incredibly complex ARP was like, it's this simple thing. I'm like, yeah, to us mere mortals, that is to us, like, stupid chimps, where it seems a lot more complicated. So that's my next question, actually. So Max for Live, is it as scary and as complicated as people think?
At first, I mean, when I opened it for the first time, I was like, okay, I don't understand all this wires and stuff. I don't know. Did you ever open a Max for Live plugin?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, and then I closed it again pretty quickly. To be honest.
Yeah, and I quit Ableton, shut your laptop down, and then went. Yeah, no, but then you have to step over that and then dive in, and it's so visually, they build it so correctly, and they. There are so many tutorials and all that kinds of stuff on YouTube and on their site as well. So, and you can even open other plugins, other Max for Live plugins, to see how they build it. And what I did was for the transient designer, or for my trans. How does it called? The simpler trans Hollt thing or something?
That thing we're talking about.
That thing. What I did was just searching for, the right mapping part and in the LOM. And then after, I just opened or downloaded some plugins which I knew were like getting close to what I want. And then just open it and just, search for their route and everything, and then stealing and grabbing and testing, and then in the end, yeah, it's not that hard. But that's with everything. I mean,
Yeah, it takes time, right?
yeah, it takes time, but it's quite fun if it works, and especially when, if it's handy or when it's
Yeah, it solves the
sometimes
problem, basically.
yeah,
That was the main
and
thing for me, was like somebody has gone out and solved a problem that I had.
yeah,
And what was even better was that it was like a friend. I
yeah,
was like, oh, great, brilliant. So yeah,
yeah.
we'll put the link to it in the comments,
Cool.
and we'll go from there. But one of the things to talk about with Max for Live as well is a slight MYT based announcement here. We're actually we're in the early stages of developing a Max for Live course.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I've got a friend of mine, a dear friend of mine who I used to teach with in the UK, who went on to be a very successful plugin developer. And he's got a very, very good basis of developing audio applications and plugins and audio services. So he's actually in the early stages of working on that. So, in terms of people who are going to be interested in how to make their own Max for Live devices, like, we've got you covered.
Yeah,
like
cool.
It's going to be really, really cool. And again, it'd be great to get your insight into that as well.
Yeah, nice, really nice.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, it's just good fun. It's really good fun, and especially when it helps you going further. And just a small example: if you have like a drum rack and inside Ableton, and you have like all the values like going upwards inside the, how does it call, the parameters? Yeah, the macro controllers, right? And what I found out was like a bit frustrating was that if I was playing live and I put them all like on 80-90%, and I just want to get them all back to 0, you have to do it all like
individually, right?
Yeah. And I'm building now at the moment that I just can press a button and then whoop, everything goes to 0. But the button you can also automate. So when you're playing live, and you have all the parameters like going full nuts, then you just press a button and then boom.
You know what I'm gonna do when we finish tonight? I'm gonna make a big list of everything I want Ableton to do.
Oh,
and then I'm gonna send it to you, and then you're gonna build me some Max for Live plugins that basically sort me out, because I mean, you've started already. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Funny.
Well, just please send me.
I will do, and we'll make a lot of people happy. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like that. like a bad guy from a film. Yeah. But there you go. So your studio is an interesting place, right? Because it's in like you were saying it's in like a shipping container or something like that.
Well, almost. It's a bit better.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's close too. I mean, but it's more like a garage box. What they did over here, it's just all. They're over here with, I think, above 100 garage boxes next to each other. And yeah, I built this with my dad. I mean, I built a sort of box in a box. So the outside of the box is the garage box. Mm-hmm. And then, the inside of the box is just this room. And I built it together with my dad, I think in 2 months or something, in 2017 or 16, I don't know. And it's good fun because I can make music whenever I want. It's really close to where I live, and it's just a good vibe to be at. And I'm really happy because I have like a desk that can go upwards. And then I'm just too small for it, and then I can bring it back.
I was going to say, keep going, and you'll cover your face up on the camera there.
No, but this one is good because it's so much better for my back. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we are sitting behind her desk for maybe 10 hours a day, maybe more or less. And I found out that if I stand up and producing stand up, I mean, in the club or at a festival, we also not like sitting while we playing live, So it's more fun standing up straightwards and just goofing around and maybe have a small dance or something.
Yeah, it just makes it more active, doesn't it? I always find when I'm arranging, because I arrange everything myself on the push, so I'll do like live jams of my arrangements straight into the arrangement view from the session view. That's kind of how I put my tracks together a lot of the time. And I just find it to be really, really interesting. And it's more like a performance at that rate. And if you think about it, like a lot of producers, they're kind of stuck in their chairs a little bit. So, it's great to see that, you've got like a kind of a combination solution. I think those kind of movable standing desks are definitely the way forward.
Yeah. It really makes my my day in the end a bit better. And like physically, but also just for the vibe in the studio. And I mean, everyone who before all the Corona stuff who have worked with in the studio, they said to me, well, I'm getting this desk as well, because it's just good fun. Also, if you're with more people in the studio, then you can just easily stand next to each other instead of sitting like forced next to each other.
And like chairs take up so much space as well in the studio too.
Yeah.
No, for
so
sure.
and what else? Well, I built my acoustics myself, all the panels.
Wow.
It's just super easy. Just a wooden frame with a rock wool. You know what it is?
Yeah, it's like the insulation, right? The
insulation stuff. And then just some how do you say that?
Yeah, it's like fabric over the top.
fabric, black fabric in front of it, and that's it.
No, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I really don't want to leave here.
Oh, we can keep you here all night if you want. It's not a problem. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I've got a glass of wine ready to go here. Like, dude, I'm prepared, dude.
Yeah.
I always end up drinking on these live streams, and I don't know why.
Normally, you don't drink, right?
Well, lockdown might have. Might have been a slight change there.
Yeah.
During the lockdown, there might have been a beer or two and a glass of wine or two drank. Got to get through it somehow, right?
Yeah.
So
but sometimes I wish my studio was next to my house or in my house, but that is just that what I'm saying. I don't want to leave this space because it's just too nice and too chill, and I can make music every minute I want every day. So and a garage box is not that much like for the rent. Instead of some other place where like on the industry terrain or something where you have to build a thing or, I mean,
No, amazing.
It's good stuff.
Amazing. Yeah. So obviously you can see in the background you've got the Sub 37 there. Is that a main weapon in the arsenal, shall we say? It's one of the main weapons I use, but I'm not always trying to, because at the first I thought like, oh, this is the Mookie sound I want, but now I try to get like different sounds out of it and manipulate it as well, so you maybe not think at first like, oh, this is a Moog, because it's a typical sound. So I have a Moog over here, and then over here I have some I don't know if you can see a bit. I have some MIDI controllers, the Roland, and I got the Genelec 8050 speakers. Nice.
I'm really happy with them. And what else? Over here a keyboard and a mixer. And in the mixer, it's just like getting all my input signals. I also got a tablet, and the tablet is a nice one because I installed Touch OSC on it.
Nice.
And the thing is with Touch OSC, you can just make your own buttons, and it will connect via Wi-Fi through your computer. And when I press a button, then it will automatically pops in a plugin or some other stuff inside my Ableton. So
Wow.
that's really nice. Yeah.
Nice.
And then yeah, over here I have the machine. I think it's the MK1.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah,
looks like one of the classic ones, shall we say?
yeah, yeah. And a micro brute from Arturia.
Great.
A good fun. I saw a movie at the beginning when I didn't had it from Tim Green,
Yeah.
and he has one of those,
Yeah.
and I like the ARP in it, and
Oh, that's right.
yeah,
That must have been his Fact Magazine Against the Clock thing, right?
yeah. Is my screen freezing or
A
not?
little bit. Yeah, you're very still, but we can still hear you, so that's the main thing.
That's
So
good.
yeah,
I don't
I'm sure
know.
it'll sort itself out in a moment, but we'll
Yeah.
we'll go from there. So yeah, I mean, in terms of the releases, then I mean, obviously we're going to talk about Radiate. We're going to break it down in a moment.
Yeah.
And obviously there was other ones like Kaleido, for example. So how did the relationship with Parquet Recordings come about, and where did Radiate come from? Like, what's the idea behind it? What's the production approach, basically?
Yeah, well, normally, I started with Radiate. I started just making music the way I always do, and what I really like is to layer down a certain pattern and a sort of ambient sound, and then from there onwards, I built like drums and all the melodic stuff, and but the good part is that I popped up the Radiate project from inside of Ableton to for this class. But I also found some other parts like the beginning parts and the backup files.
Oh, nice.
And I opened them as well, and it's you hear Radiate in it, but it's so basic and it's so you can hear he's going to this section of the music part. Yeah, and I think I made it in November or something in 2019, and yeah, for me it's always like goofing around, making fun, and jamming, and yeah, with the layer of ambient or of a texture or something, so I can easily write down some chords or easily can step up some melodic elements in it. And yeah, and then I mean, Parquet is such a great label to release on, and Norman was super fast. Soleil, his art is his artist name, and also the owner of Parquet, and he replied, I think, in 2 hours or something, like,
wow.
Congratulations. Yeah, and yeah, for me it's such an honor because I also I really wanted to release on Parquet. And then he said to me, well, okay, let's go for it. And yeah, from therewards we had a release.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Great stuff. So yeah, I mean, it literally, again, it shows that just developing that little bit of not even a relationship as such, but being able to just be really direct with labels and stuff, it can work really, really well.
Yeah, I think also, and then we can go back to where we start with like the experience part, but also be like yourself and just be human. And I mean, maybe I got the luck to have my own label and see so many, or not so many, but I see some emails coming in through my demo inbox, and they're most of the time they're not that personal.
Yeah.
And I mean, you made such a craft of making good music, you're proud of it, and then you're putting it out, and then you write down like maybe one line, like, this is my new song, hope you like it, and then done. I mean, dude, you were worked for maybe 40 hours or maybe more hours to get into this stuff, and then then you send just 2 lines of text and that's it.
Yeah,
So
exactly,
I don't think that's the way how you approach. For me, I'm always trying to, and I think you and all the other all the other producers have to do this as well. Be kind and just, I mean, you just want to step up your game. So
I think it's
just
a
just
really
email,
important
yeah,
point.
right,
It's a really
yeah,
important point
yeah,
that you have to spend not as much time, because that would be ridiculous to spend 40 hours on an email to a label, right? But
yeah, no,
it's about being able to reflect how much time and effort you've put into the creating of the art in the way that you approach the label,
yeah,
including
yeah,
what labels you
yeah,
approach and how you come across in the emails, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's just also that part is just a kind of arty thing. Like you also have to nail that as well. So writing down good emails and know how to bring it. I mean, I don't want to receive like 4 pages of explaining you why you want to release on my label or someone else's label, but I think if you just be polite and just super happy to release on a label, then you're a step ahead of maybe 80% of the rest or something. Yeah,
No, it's
yeah. It's a
true.
little bit weird to say because it's just I don't know if people receive this at the beginning, but don't be a dickhead. Yeah, right.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. As I say, yeah.
that sums up everything. So
Oh yeah,
that's it.
yeah, and there's very little room for them in the industry, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be said. Like, we have to be straight with people and say, look, like this is what's going to work, and this is what isn't going to work.
Yeah,
It's simple
yeah,
as that, and that's about being as nice to people as humanly possible, but also being, again, very square and very straight and very honest
yeah,
with people.
yeah, yeah.
So in terms of the beginnings of Radiate, I mean, how does beginning of tracks look like for you? Does it different every time? What's the initial approach like, and what was it like for Radiate?
I'm always trying to just what I said, just lay down some ambient things or things that got me inspired. I mean, if I put out some drums, just only drums, it it doesn't really inspire me. But if I lay down some chords or just a pad or then I got inspired and then I can go forward. So that's normally what I do. And it also can be some textures I recorded from. I got the Tascam, the DR40, I think. Just go outside, record some stuff, and live elements are always working. It's insane. It always like sometimes I'm not getting any further, and then I go outside with that thing, take a break, and then come back, and then just put it in and drop it inside my Ableton, and then it's just working. And but for Radiate, it went quite the same, I think. Yeah, and what I did is I'm nowadays I try to find a certain hook, or do you say that in English?
Yeah, like a hook or like a melody.
Yeah, right. And when I'm not satisfied with it, I'm just leave it. Yeah, cheers, mate. with my coffee. Sometimes or nowadays I just leave it. So I just make sure that the template itself is just with the drums I made, and with the basic element stuff and the basic kick and the bass, and then if I'm not find that the hook is well, then I just skip it, save it, and then leave it alone. And the leave it alone part is sometimes quite hard. But yeah, and I did that with Radiate, and as I told, I opened one of the first files, and it was just radiate without the melody part in it, without the hook. And then I think I spent the next day like 2 hours jamming and slapping on the sub, and then the melody came out. And the funny thing is that I always make it myself a bit hard, like you have to find the hook, but most of the time it's just inside one like hand. I mean, you don't have to do it like on the whole piano or on the whole keys to find your thing. No, it's just 5 intervals between the melody, and
so true.
That's it.
That's so true, because you break down melodies of even like well-known tracks.
Yeah,
like I remember I did it in the AAA group on one of our calls, where like I think one of the crew had asked me to kind of do a breakdown of the Artback remix of Monolink. Return to Oz, in that main sort of hook. And I laid it out in MIDI, and like everyone was like,
"Is this it?" Yeah. Is it? Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
it's like 4 notes.
Yeah.
What? Like this is so. This is like, and it was. I came up with the term then. I was so disappointed. I was impressed.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. I'm so disappointed at how simple it is, but I'm also like really impressed at like how good that is.
Yeah.
And you almost feel like when you see things like that laid out, it's like you almost feel a bit silly.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, true, really true. Yeah, I have the same. I mean, I just listen so many stuff, and sometimes put in a reference track, and I mean, why does it work for them but not for me? And so I go just beyond that to to get the knowledge about why is it working, why is it so simple, and why does the simplicity work? I mean, that's a craft. I mean, if you can nail that, then then you're there or something, and then your mix or your master or something, it doesn't even matter. If you take out the right samples, or even better, if you record themselves, and if you can make it simple and interesting at the same time, you have a track. It's literally that. Today, Dennis Horvath, he released a video. Did you saw it or not?
I haven't. I saw that he put the video out, but
Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
the picture of him sat there with like a bass guitar.
Yeah. It's so nice because he brings in so many live elements, and I found out that many other artists are doing that as well now in my genre, and they fill up so many space in the track because it's live, like a live element, and that's one of the reasons why you can keep it simple. And if you watch the video of Dennis, you will hear simplicity with live elements, and it's so freaking awesome and cool to watch. So I'm always trying, or not. I'm nowadays trying to do that as well.
And you did that very successfully with Radiate, I have to say, because there's not much in it at all. But what is in there, every single element has a purpose, has a role, has a place. And one of the things that I was, and we can share the screen in a moment. One of the things I was really, really delighted about was just how you got so much groove out of the drums in this track. With very, very little actual percussion. I think you're really starting to nail your craft on that.
I don't think there are more than 10 elements in my drum section. But that's also, and it sounds a bit of, it sounds maybe a bit weird because we just talked about it. But one of the reasons why I nailed it is, I think I nailed it. You told me I nailed it. It's because of, I have that Max for Live plugins now implemented. And I have the machine over here. And what I did was not working with the native or with the plugin of Machine, but I just built my own drum rack, and I can do everything on the machine. Scroll through 127 drums, 127 snares and shakers and stuff, and I can arp them. I can I have everything here: ping pong, tape delay, reverb, noise. I can do everything with them. It's like a TR8, but then inside of Ableton, and so much more.
Wow.
To enhance and to make the sound different. And yeah, I never used the plugin of Machine because it slows down my project a bit, and I really like to work with the Ableton stuff. So I made it myself easy to build stuff on Max for Live and to implement that in the studio, and it's all for a good reason, to build a good or steady vibe, or
So should we take a look at the session then?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. So let's move into here, and there's the screen, and I'm gonna pop Jeff and I in the bottom here. And yeah,
you're
we're
so
good
technical, mate. You're so technical.
Dude.
Top off.
Dude, try my best, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
We're getting there. So yeah, so obviously you're in live 10.
Yeah.
And mostly it looks like you were using, a lot of wave stuff there and that kind of stuff. Is that kind of the go-to? What are the go-to plugins?
Yeah, well, for me, what I did at first when I started with Ableton, it was all a mess with colors and stuff. And then at a point I didn't like colors, and then I skipped it all. And so what I try to do now is I have like 4 buses or 4 groups. So my low end, my drums, my melodies, and my effects. And is my screen like in sync now?
Yeah, it's totally fine. Mate.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then I have some effects on it, or some compression, and that's on every bus. So on my low end, I have this part. I can explain in a minute. And then on my drums, I have this compression, EQing part. On my melodies, it's just some low end cutting and the shaper box for side chaining. And I don't think I have. I have a utility on my effects, but that's not worth talking about it. I really like this plugin. It's just, this part is just for making the sound more pushy, like more, it pushes the sound more. And I'm always tempting to put my kick way louder than my bass.
Okay.
And but now with the CLA 76, I just make sure it's always like on not more than -3. And this is just my reference. And if I see that my kick is way too loud and like going to -7 or -10, I know I have to drop down my kick a bit. And yeah, that does really the trick for me. And it's not that even hard to do, or I don't push it too hard. I mean, if I solo this, well, you see, it's just, I even could push it even more. And then some equalizing, but also very minimal, some low end over here as well.
Jeff, can we just pause for a second, dude? Because we've lost the connection to the audio from from Ableton. So I'm just going to get this over to you now. Sorry about that, dude.
No worries. It's just low end.
Yeah, it's just low end. You can't hear it anyway. Yeah, so you might want to just go and check for the clean feed again.
Refresh it. Oh yeah. There it is.
There you go. Giving all our secrets away. I don't know. Yeah, Looks like you're all
Yeah,
good.
this is
there.
it. Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that should be
You
good.
can hear it now.
Can now. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Great. Well, yeah. So this is for me. This is really basic. And then yeah, sometimes people say to me like, why don't you use like compressors and stuff after your kick and this or that? But I mean, I just have maybe a good sample and made my own kicks, and I think that's also a good thing to do. I have over here, where is it? Samples. Yeah, over here. Well, you see, I have a lot of kicks, which I like, and most of the time, the last kicks I implemented
are they
work.
Custom kicks that you've built?
Well, also, or maybe from a sample, and then on top, I put the TR8 or 3 other samples, and then yeah, just goof around with it and make sure that the kick is sounding great for me. Sometimes I hear a kick in another production I really like, and I want to try to get close to it, or yeah, combine them, or but it's not that these kicks are really like Hollt kicks or something, but they're just working for me, and that's cool. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh, they sound great. They sound really good.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with them, and that's yeah, for effects, but also with some snares I gathered, or some hi-hats, but yeah, I started doing this, and it really works, and yeah, you can just start your project just a bit faster. And I really like to work in my low end for with toms.
Yeah, it's such a good trick that. You can be so much kind of more, accurate with that.
Yeah. It's for the groove part. It's helping a lot to, that they groove with the track and not only with the bass, because I think the bass line is just a straight line. Yeah, from the sub.
Yeah, and it's nice because the toms give a nice stab, right?
Yeah.
And give a nice rhythm and a nice movement.
Yeah. And then I sidechain the long bass a bit. And yeah, that's really it.
I like the way you actually sidechain that bass to the toms.
Yeah.
Which is quite a neat little trick, actually, and it's not because a lot of people just think about kicks.
Yeah.
And actually, because the toms share, and this is something I've actually started doing recently as well, is you sidechain those toms to the bass line, and it actually helps because the bass and the toms are actually sharing very similar frequencies, so you can actually make them integrate and come together and glue together a bit better that way.
Yeah, well, the thing, and I also sometimes put a small sidechain even on all my drums, or over here I have a step. And there I attempt to use the Shaper box lately, because I love the plugin.
Yeah.
Especially because there's like an EQ part in it, so you can choose which part he's going to sidechain. I mean, why would you sidechain the high end parts for your low end? There's no reason to do that for me. Sometimes I'm just tracking this a bit to the high section, but this is a good plugin for me. And and you see I have a Shaper box here, over here. Not so I'm always try to implement them also in my drums. And one of the reasons why I do this is because it just give a certain groove or something. It takes away the volume when the kick comes in, but it also helps for the groove of the track. And I think you have to see like your track in a sort of 3D room or something.
Yeah.
And you just have to place every part correctly for yourself. And if you mute one of the elements, you have to notice that. And if you notice it, then you should leave it in. and otherwise,
Yeah.
yeah, throw it away.
You have to miss it, right? You know, when it's gone, it's like, oh, where
Yeah.
did that go? And
Yeah,
if
yeah.
it doesn't give you that feeling, then it shouldn't be there.
Yeah, so sometimes when I have like a texture layer down, and a friend of mine he comes in and I just solo the texture where I'm working on, he's like, "Why do you have? I mean, I don't hear the texture." I'm like, "Okay, well I will show you," and then I mute the texture, and he's like, "Holy." Yeah, then everything like the vinyl cracking or all that kinds of things you do. I mean, I think I've someone over. Yeah, this is just a string. A string. If you just leave this, then I don't know if you can. Yeah.
So
If
nice.
you just let this part out, then you miss quite a lot in the track.
Yeah, it's amazing how those little sort of string sections, the way they really add tension and then fill space.
Yeah.
In a really nice way, and it's like you say, it's you don't normally notice these things when you listen to the whole track, but if they were not there, the track would not feel complete.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So that's
So take us through the drums.
Yeah, so the drums, as I said, there are maybe 10 tracks in here, and what I really like to do is to implement some MIDI parts in it, but I distract them from loops, or I'm really in love with the sampler and the simpler, and you can just drag the starting point of it. But first, on the drum section itself, I have a glue compressor, which compressed the lower or the less volume stuff together with the high volume. So just a little bit of it. And I don't need any low end parts in my drums, so I always skip that. Like under 100 hertz. And then here I think just some equalizing stuff, just a bit, just minus 2, minus 2.5, to just leave out the bad frequencies. And I really like the drum bus because it gives it a bit more drive to the drums. They're making also the drums more like live kind of sound.
Yeah, totally. I find it very heavy. Depending upon what I do. I mean, even with everything, the drive, the crunch, and the boom set to 0, I still find it does quite a lot to the sound.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I'm having this also in my template when I start the project. And I rather, if I put like 3 parts in it, I rather put them on, so I know where to work towards to. So just for my ears to know, okay, this or that I'm missing in the track, and then I decide to just put this on. With my low end, I rather put the whole bus here off, because sometimes it will come out differently. And what I said, like, let me see over here, that's one of the parts I think is stepping up from why that the track is ready is the snares part. So
this is one of my favorite parts of the track.
So it's and also with this I made from the machine. So what I did was just a quantizer and just jam around with the buttons. And then what I really like to do is to put this plugin is amazing. It's a noise 2 from Denise, and this is my secret weapon. So thank you. No, but it gives it.
It's not secret anymore, dude. I have to tell you, you're live on the internet. It's done.
I know. No, but I mean, this plugin is really good because it also gives the live element and the live kind of sound, and it's a noise plugin, and if I play this and I put it off.
Oh, nice. So it's like it kind of follows the envelope, right? And
yeah.
Nice.
And it gives that extra kind of analog noise only at the moments when the transient is high enough. So, yeah, as you said, it follows the envelope.
Right. And that sound, by the way, that really reminds me of, the track Solitary Days by Maceo Plex and Gabriel Ananda. Really reminds me of like that flanged sort of white noise in that track that I just love.
And
I
it's
love
funny.
That technique.
It's funny you begin about that, because it was one of the inspiration stuff, and I was listening to that track not like when I made this track, but maybe a week before, and then I was scrolling through the Ableton effects, and I found out, and I went through the flanger, and I was like skipping through the flanger, like, oh no, not the flanger, come on. And then I thought, well, maybe this is cool. And then you see I put the flanger like all the way up, and normally I wouldn't do that because everyone knows it's a flanger, but I don't know, at a certain point I thought, well, this could be making the track through the point I want it to be. And it's not that you should always use a flanger, I think, or maybe you can use it politely. But
I love that. You can use it politely. I like that. Is that as opposed to using it like rude?
What?
Is that like using it offensively rather than polite?
Yeah, well, normally I don't use it quite often with such an amount of dry wet. Right, it's on 60%.
I get you. But it's cool. It's a really cool technique, and I've used quite a lot of different things on noise just to kind of give it a bit more movement. So I've used things like phasers and really extreme chorus settings, and it tends to give it this kind of sheen, but it also gives it some movement. So I think that's actually one of the reasons when I said about the drums and how much movement you got from it with such little amount of drums, basically. I think this snare and all the movement that's happening within this is one of the big reasons why the track is so groovy with so little going on,
Yeah, and I don't know. I think it's just a way of keeping it simple again. And what I said is just there are 3 shakers in it, and that makes the groove also like a bit
nice
off and there, and as I said, the machine gave me a lot of good vibes with all the Max for Life stuff I did. And also just like to goof around with samples and then search for the right elements. And that's basically it, I think.
That's great. That's really great. And again, maybe we could play the just the drums with the kick for a second, so we could hear the final result. That'd be great. And then we can just add it layer by layer,
Cool. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so what I did over here was I felt that it needed like a certain amount of groove. And I have that groove also with my toms. And I thought, well, it has to be, or it needed some more like high-end stuff in it.
Yeah, like a high mid sort of vibe.
Yeah. So I found this step who implements, or who, it interacts with the tom. So, for example, if I just play the tom and the step, they're just dancing with each other.
No, it works really well. It's like a call and response, right?
Yeah. and sometimes it's just happening or something, you know. And then the other day, you know, like, okay, I have to make an interaction between them. So yeah, let me see. Yeah, those are just from the machine. And you definitely, or I hear the, you know, you definitely hear the sidechain, but it gives so much more groove to the rim section.
And again, they're so subtle, right? And they just have their place.
Yeah. I love the shakers.
Oh my god, so cool.
Yeah.
I love that as well. I love that. That is so reminiscent of like back in the day. Richie Horton used to play live with like Lexicon PCM 45 delays, and he used to do these really weird off-time delays, and they were like rattling everywhere, and the whole track sounded like it was about to fall to pieces, but then it all came back in. Like his essential mix. Well, it's not even an essential mix. He did a mix for John Peel in like 2004. I've been listening to a lot recently. It was almost like the birth of minimal house.
Yeah.
Like he played this set and like nobody had ever heard music like it before. And he was doing that a lot with the PCMs, and it reminds me of that.
Yeah. And what I also tend to do now is I got this from Patrice Baumel from his. You told me the
Good evening, Patrice.
Yeah. You gave me the video of him with talking to Beatport, I think.
The one from last year. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Dude, every single person I know who's watched that video has watched it like 15 times.
Yeah. And I did it as well. Yeah. And the thing with Patrice, he's just so good and simple. Like,
makes you sick, doesn't it?
Insane. So what I did and what I got from him was I have my I didn't like working with Sense because of, you know, there's a lot of automation and you have to get in through these little sections over here. So what I was finding on the internet was like I really wanted to work with Sense because they're giving it's just easier for your effects, and Patrice is just explaining that perfectly inside of I think it was also like with an echo and stuff, and he was playing with Silent One with the VST, and I thought, well, the noise part he explained was really cool, but also working with Sense. So what I have over here, but I don't know if you guys seeing this, but I have the launch controller.
The Novation.
I don't know. Can you see it now?
Yeah, can do.
Yeah, well, so yeah, from Novation. And what I did, or what I built is I searched online on the internet. Here we go again, me being technical. Is I built my own controller script. So over here is like the Hollt Sense. So what I did is when I go through all these tracks, I can just scroll like or turning one knob on the Novation. You see like the first sense going upwards, right? And downwards. I'm controlling it over here.
Yeah.
But if I go downwards, I can control the next track as well.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah,
with the same knob, and you can do that inside of the MIDI section part in Ableton, because then it will always stick to that one scent you want to control. So this for me made it so much easier to again jam in the studio and make it more movable. And I mean, for example, if I have this and I play with my Sense.
See, I've just heard that kind of come up like through the stereo. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It was really wide in my headphones.
Yeah. But you can play easily, or more. It's just more accessible because I can just turn knobs instead of going through there with my mouse.
No, exactly. Yeah.
And I don't know where
No,
I
so it
put this,
makes
but
it
yeah,
makes it way more human, way more
yeah,
expressive, right?
yeah. And then after I record it, or and I think I did that with the snare. I can you know
Mm.
push the noise up and the rises and stuff, and make it more echoer. It's in solo, so you can hear.
No, but you can
But you get the
definitely.
message.
No,
You
yeah,
get it.
you definitely
Yeah,
got it, man.
yeah,
It's great. I mean, it's a fantastic way of working.
yeah,
I love these moments. You know, when the delays are just.
yeah.
I love that sound.
It's still keep on going now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
And the good stuff about this is working with Sense is that it's all inside one element or something. It's not that it's just one echo room you're in, and that in the end, yeah, it's makes sense, because then you can get any how do you call it, like interferences with frequencies and harmonic things and things out of phase and stuff. So you're pushing all the effects to the sense, and then, or all your tracks to the effects to the sense, and then yeah, that's doing the trick for me. Yeah.
No, definitely. So speak to me about the lead then, and like how that has all come about, because that's very much from the Moog, right?
Yeah, that's all from the Moog, and what I like to do is I put in, but for now I just leave it off, because otherwise we got maybe too much latency. But what I did is I played some notes on the Moog, and maybe after 2 hours or something I got, or maybe 1 hour, I got the melody part, and then I straightly record for maybe 50 minutes, and then take out the right part, and
then
yeah, also on
together,
this,
basically, yeah.
That's so
and
cool. Also on this part, I think I did a lot of automation again with the sense, and then with the noise, and also I turned the knob on the sub itself with the cutoff. But I really like to have to have controls inside of Ableton, so it's always funny to see an auto filter on top of the Moog. yeah. But I mean,
it's kind of like having a Ferrari with a hairdryer, right, as an engine.
Yeah. So, but the OSR option now on the auto filter in Ableton, they are great, especially when you give it more a dry feeling. I wouldn't say that it will. I mean, it's not coming close to the cutoff filter of the Moog, but it's working. It's working quite good.
Nah, brilliant.
So what I try to do is, of course, to make it interesting on the sub itself, playing with the release and the decay and just the whole ADSR part. And then if I at a moment, if I have the melody part, then I just implement it in Ableton, and you see I just play or record it from here, and then just it will send the notes to the Moog, and then I have my hands then on the ADSR and on the cutoff, and then I don't have to play it anymore. So yeah, that's one of the benefits of Ableton, that I just can send it and then record it and then turn the knobs. And on this section I got a lot of effects. I really like the replica. If it will open, well, this one, it's
great.
insane.
That thing's great, and you can go so crazy with that as well.
Yeah. And I love well, this one is, I think this one,
nice.
this one was free from Softube. Yeah,
such a great company.
yeah. And well, I don't have it over here, but I use a lot. Um, where I find? Let me see. Where is it? Well, I don't know, but I use a lot of how do the guys called sound toys plugins nowadays, and they give it such an amount of
they're
push
so
and
great. They're
yeah,
so
it's
great. I've
it's
been
it's
using them for years, and they're on offer at the moment as well.
oh
Which
yeah,
is
again, oh nice, yeah,
yeah,
oh nice,
yeah.
yeah,
Every plugin known to man's on a lockdown offer right now. So
yeah, of
yeah, I
course.
mean, I think I saw something like this or one of the other ones like Tremolator, I think, or Crystallizer, I think was like
Yeah.
$29 at the moment. Like they're so
Mm,
worth it. And this
yeah,
thing, I mean, I've spoken at length about how much I love this thing.
yeah, it's insane. I mean, I use this. I see that I didn't use this quite a lot on this track, but now I use this a lot, and it works so great. And I, I needed just this one and the Echo Man, I think.
Yeah.
And then I saw all the other plugins, and I thought, well, okay, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah,
And
exactly. You got to go in at that rate, haven't you?
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
there's two of them, and actually, one of my favourites has become not Echo Boy, but the Echo Boy Junior,
yeah, the Junior, yeah,
because it's so
yeah,
quick, and some of the
yeah,
settings on that thing are just
yeah.
phenomenally good.
Yeah,
Just so
yeah,
great.
and yeah, almost all their plugins I use now. The microshift, for example,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
insane.
it's
Yeah,
great. Yeah, and
yeah,
actually, going back to your transform sampler thing that
hmm
you built and the whole, glitchy thing that we were doing with clips, it's really interesting because I used to get the equivalent of like an automation using Tremolator
oh
to
yeah,
get like the same kind of gate and then be able to kind of change the dry wet and
yeah,
the length
yeah,
of then the
yeah.
shape of the cuts and stuff as well. And it wasn't the same, but it
No,
would give you a similar feel.
yeah, yeah, true, yeah, yeah. I mean, there are so many quite good plugins, but I love to work with. I mean, you see it over here. I use a Fab filter, and then the rest or a quite amount of plugins is just from Ableton itself. And the good part about Ableton is that you also can build your own plugins inside of the Ableton plugin. So this one is a good example. It's an Haas effect. So you will hear the right. Let me say it. Let me say it correctly. The right. No, the left part I delayed like maybe what is it?
Like less than 30
Yeah,
milliseconds,
yeah,
isn't it? Something
yeah,
like that.
like
In the
yeah,
Haas
yeah.
zone, yeah?
Oh yeah, I delayed it just like 10 milliseconds. So the signal gets super stereo when I push this like upwards. So what I did was like a drum bus or just a drum rack and a drum rack and a drum rack or effect rack. And yeah, over here I have nothing because if you turn this knob down, there's nothing. You can see it over here, and then when I turn this up, so the blue one is the one. It's just a volume thing,
Nice,
like it's just like a
yeah,
crossover, yeah.
yeah.
And then over here I have the Haas effect, and if you turn this one up, then it will get closer or get more to this effect. And yeah, this one is
The chains
helping.
and
Yeah,
the chain selector is, I think, one of the most powerful but underrated
yeah,
tools in Ableton, because
yeah,
that you were talking about the ability to create drum racks with 127 kind of kicks in
yeah,
and stuff like that, and the chain selector that allows you to actually automate the ability to roll between all of them on like a MIDI controller, for example,
yeah,
and be able to
yeah,
select
yeah,
them in a much more interesting way than just having to go through
yeah.
lists of samples.
Yeah, well, this section when I saw it for the first time was maybe the same with Max for Live. I was like, okay, well, maybe later. But when when you dive into this, it can go crazy. I mean, my live project is full of chain, transitions and Yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of the best
Did you
things.
did you make your transition?
Didn't.
But had to get it in. I
Yeah,
had to get it in
yeah,
there, Jeff.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Mm.
I'll go and speak to myself afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
No, great man. This is
Yeah,
amazing. I think it's great as well to see that, especially primarily on the lead, the fact that you've used the best of both worlds. Like you've recorded it in from the Moog and you've used the MIDI and everything else, but then
yeah,
you've also utilized the best of audio in order to edit it and be able to get the actual instrument that
yeah,
you wanted into the right place rather than it
yeah,
being, because with MIDI, as you know, it can be a bit wild and it can
yeah,
be a bit, and that's what you want it for, right? You want it to be a little bit unpredictable and a little bit cool.
yeah,
Whereas once you get it into audio, you can kind of start to do cool things that you couldn't do with MIDI, like loop it and be able to
yeah.
manipulate the dynamics a little bit more. It's a really cool thing to see.
Well, and also the thing that if you record audio, then it's audio, so you can't, you can manipulate it, but then it's not MIDI anymore. So I always keep the file, just for backup. But the thing with audio is it's just you only can think forward and not like, okay, now I'm going to change the MIDI part a bit. And so, yeah, that's one of the reasons I rather work in audio than MIDI.
No, perfect. And then you've got more stuff from the sub there in terms
Yeah.
of like shots, and you were talking about little effects and stuff
Yeah.
like that you were getting from it as well and utilizing it. And again, another thing I love about the way you're working with this is, rightly or wrongly, you buy a Moog Sub 37 and it can be very easy to sound like Stefan Bodzin
Yeah.
very quickly.
Yeah.
And you don't mean to. You want to sound different, you want to sound like yourself, but
Yeah.
this Moog, this Sub 37 has such a characteristic sound.
It's insane. Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why, quite honestly, that's one of the reasons why I didn't buy one.
Well, I heard that from a lot of people. But it's the same with the TR8, right? I mean, from Roland. I mean, if I open this beast and I will play it, then you will definitely hear that it's a Roland. But I had these discussions quite a lot with some other friends and producers, and the cool thing now, I think what you should do, or what I'm trying to do, maybe not with this track, but on tracks I'm working on now, is to make it not sounding like a Moog. And so that's a challenge, and always brings me way further than sounding like thinking of like, okay, now I'm putting in a Moog. Well, that's an easy step. Then if I want to put in a Moog and want it to sound like Botzing, for example, I just play the Moog and that's it. But I think it pushes me now through certain boundaries I didn't had before, and just think about like, okay, how do I want this sound differently? And yeah, that's a challenge, but I think that's cool also to do, and to push yourself a bit.
Yeah, exactly, and kind of get to a point. I always love it when I use a synth in a track, and somebody asks me like, oh, how was that sound made in that track? And I tell them what synth I used, and they're like, really? It doesn't sound like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, haha,
Yeah.
got ya.
Oh, yeah. That's the good part.
yeah, exactly. That is the good part. I always remember I
Yeah.
released a track a few years ago, and I used the D16 for Scion plugin as an acid sound, and somebody came up to me at a music conference and was like, how much did you pay for your 303? And I was like,
Yeah.
sorry to disappoint you, dude. It's a plugin, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Well, and that's a good part, because and also good fun, but because quite a lot of people were thinking that Kaleido was made by the Moog.
And I'm one of them, and you've never told me this. And are you telling me it isn't?
Well, it's layered, so, but it's not totally from the Moog. I don't know if you know the Pigment plugin from
I
Arturia.
do, yes.
It's one of my it's
Ah.
one of the favorites, and that's also like a downside of the Moog, but it's analog, and you have to enhance it and play with it, to fit inside your digital production. And sometimes it's just hard,
Because
it
it
always
is.
sounds.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those
Yeah,
things that's like it takes up a lot of space, and that's the other problem, and that's why a lot of
yeah,
people do end up sounding the same with it because it just
yeah,
comes in this amazing Moog sound. Don't get me wrong, but it's like it's so dominant that it
yeah,
almost takes a lot of space away
yeah, yeah,
from
yeah, yeah,
other sounds if you're not very, very
yeah.
careful. But yeah, we're going to be doing a pigments course on MYT soon.
Cool,
So
cool.
yeah, I'll have to pick your brains about how you did the
Yeah,
Kaleido sound, so I can kind of master it myself
yeah,
because that sound
yeah,
was just that sound is incredible.
yeah. Thanks. Yeah, so sorry for that, mate.
I hate you. I
Yeah,
hate you
yeah.
so much.
I love it. I love
I
it.
know, yeah,
That's
yeah. You
this is
like
my.
making me angry. That's what you
Yeah, yeah,
do.
yeah, 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 yeah. This is my moment to take like fool you.
Thanks,
No,
mate.
but yeah, and then what I else did, I just recorded some, yeah, some effects from earlier on. So over here, there's a good example of what was it? Okay, this one. So what I just did is I recorded it in full length, and then just recorded the
Nice.
MIDI part over and over again, and then just tweak a bit on the controller, and then I got like the transition that I wanted. So I have this over here.
Nice.
So, and then the only part I took was yeah, this. So in the end you got this. Yeah,
Very cool.
and that's working or something. It's yeah, easy. Yeah, it's just easy done. Um, and sometimes you try to overcompensate with other plugins, and layering. I mean, yeah, I don't think that's always the solution. I just layered one sound and just took some shots and some parts out of it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And yeah, for the rest, I have some other steps over here as well. Also, to make the track more groovy.
And they work really well with the other stabs that you had in the drums as well.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that harp's really cool.
And I think this was also the tension part I started, started the track with, because I really like putting in some tension at first, to get started with. And this sounds interesting. And it triggers me to make other, or to make a melody and make drums, and it's way different by starting with the drums, for example. Yeah.
Yeah, and everything's so tight with the groove and the drums and stuff
Yeah.
as well, man. I mean, it's so well done. It's so well crafted, shall we say?
Yeah, it's one of the things I really like. Besides of keeping it simple, also like, make the drums tight, make them speak loud, and and make sure that they're on the right place in on the right time, and especially picking out the right sounds. And that's sometimes quite hard, and sometimes quite frustrating that you can't find the right sound. But yeah, if you find it, then it's good fun.
No, totally, totally,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, yeah. So in terms of obviously, you've mentioned pigments, and obviously the Moog is a huge thing as well as the microbrute and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Are there any other sort of synth plugins that you really grab for? I mean, I'm seeing on the strings here actually you're an Omnisphere user,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
cool.
I'm still in love with Omnisphere. I
Dude,
got it
how
for
can you not like?
yeah, yeah. Well, at first, it's quite a big plugin,
Oh, dude, it's
and
massive. It's ridiculous.
yeah, I bought I have it over here. I bought an external SSD disk just for Omnisphere. It's just for the whole Spectrasonic guys. Because otherwise, I mean, I've like 250 gigabytes on my Mac, and that's it. So I mean, they take like 80, 90 gigabytes.
It's insane, especially now they've updated everything in Omnisphere too. I think they said there's something like over 50,000 unique sound sources in it now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's insane.
The way how they build it with velocity, that every press is a different kind of sound, and it's all sample based, right?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of really good synthesis in there now, especially with like the 2.5 update. They did a lot where you can actually say, for example, your Moog Sub 37, you can actually use something called hardware control with it.
Oh yeah.
And actually what it does is that it maps Omnisphere to the controls of the Sub 37. So you're playing your Sub 37, but you're actually playing Omnisphere.
Oh wow.
But they've included presets that use digitally sampled waveforms from the Sub 37.
Yeah.
And they've built their own custom presets for it, but you can control it all from the hardware.
Yeah.
They are crazy people. I mean, I've met Eric and the guys who make that plugin, and they're all crazy. They're all just nuts. They go crazy, and I love telling that story of there's a preset in there called Burning Piano, and it is literally they set a piano on fire, put a guy in a fireproof suit, and made him play the piano. Amazing. And they recorded it while it was on fire.
That's insane.
They're crazy.
That's insane.
They're so crazy, but like their dedication to it is insane. Like,
yeah, if you want to go crazy, take Omnisphere. I mean, it's just such a good plugin, and sometimes when I don't find the right vibe, where I'm starting with, I just take Omnisphere, put a lot of reverb on it, and just goof around and I'm really got inspired by it. Also when it's just only Omnisphere with a reverb, or if they have a reverb in it as well.
No, totally.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
The granular synth engine in that now is one of the best.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, it's so easy to use, and you can drag and drop your own audio in there as well.
Oh, amazing.
So, yeah, I mean, we did like, on MYT AAA, we did like 8 hours of like more of just sessions in Omnisphere, and we ripped it apart.
Yeah.
And it was just so much fun, and we just had like vocal samples going in there, and we were like bouncing stuff from like, say, reactor blocks, and then dropping it into Omnisphere and layering it, and just doing that. When the granular stuff does that really nice stutter, and you just have that as a layer on top of like an original synth piece. Oh my god, so good, man. So
it's really good. And you can go like way beyond your own imagination of an instrument, or what I like is, if you record a live instrument, for example, a guitar, that's the good part about the conservatory, is that quite a lot of good people who playing a guitar or drums or whatever. Yeah. So last time, a friend of mine from the conservatory who played guitar, I invited him, and we just recorded everything. Like, it was boring for him, but not for me. But I'm using his samples now. It's just playing an A and then a B and then blah blah blah. But just sampling stuff and then implement it in, for example, what you say in Omnisphere, and then tweak it and play with it. yeah, it's really cool to do. And also, um, it gives you a lot of inspiration, and it gives you a lot of um, sort of bone structure, skeletal structure for your track, you know.
Mm.
And that's one of the reasons I like to start with textures or ambient or big like sounds, string sounds, or whatever, because it just inspires me.
Yeah, it just sets a tone, doesn't it? It just sets a
Yeah,
scene better than just like
yeah,
a drum loop, for example. I always find that myself. And obviously, you're big
yeah.
on the Valhalla stuff as well. I see with the
Yes.
yeah. I mean, who isn't, right?
Yeah,
It's so good.
yeah,
It's so
yeah,
good. I don't use this as much. I
yeah,
use the Room, and then I love Shimmer. Shimmer is probably my favorite.
yeah, yeah. I have the shimmer. Yeah, it's over here. Um, and maybe, yeah, this one is. Let me see. Oh, it's over here. It's, yeah. You know why you use it is just for the long reverbs, and I use the vintage for my regular stuff
Mm.
for the reverb. Yeah, their reverb plugins are my go-to tools, and they're just amazing, and
Mm.
they handle my. I have to say it differently. My computer has handled it well, so that's one of the reasons I try to use the lexicon stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, they
I
can be
stopped doing that.
very,
Yeah,
very CPU intensive, the
yeah,
lexicon stuff,
yeah,
despite how good they
yeah,
sound, right?
yeah. And sometimes I try this. I used the lexicon maybe a half a year ago, and then out of nothing, it went up to 100 dry wet, and my speakers were blasting my ears
Oh
off.
my god, I've been there,
Yeah,
dude, and I've done the same thing
uh,
with headphones on as well, and it's like,
yeah, you're
oh,
deaf for half an hour, or
dude,
maybe more.
I did that to myself one day so hard with a plugin in Logic called Delay Designer that I almost went to the bathroom to vomit, basically.
Yeah,
Like it was just it's still the loudest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Like
yeah,
it was so horrible. Like I literally put my fingers in my ears to see whether or not I was bleeding. It
yeah,
was that bad. So,
yeah.
remember kids, if you're experimenting with delays
Be
and high
careful.
levels of feedback, be very careful. Do it at low levels of volume or put a limiter on, right? Pretty similar. Oh, and we've lost him again. I'm sure he'll be back in a second. But there you go. So yeah, I mean, this is a fantastic overview. Here he is.
There I'm again.
Ah, he's back
Yeah.
again. Hi.
So,
Taking over the screen. It's taking over the screen again.
yeah.
So yeah.
Oh wait.
Okay, hang on. Let me just get you
Uh,
back on screen here.
oh, I have it. Okay, right.
Yeah, you're there.
Cool.
You're there. You're there. There you go.
Oh, nice.
There you go. So yeah, man. I mean, I think this has been a great overview, and again, I love the fact that you keep things so simple as well.
Yeah. Well, it's just a thing you have to do, I think, in a certain amount. I mean, I overcompensate quite a lot, and sometimes I still, overcompensate and just put in too many stuff. Um, but a good example is that this track is coming out in June
Mm.
26th on Jonas Sabach, his label,
Oh, wow.
Redican.
Mm-hmm.
And I made this track, and I couldn't figure out why it didn't work or why I didn't want to press on export. And then I just, skipped or dropped maybe 1/3 of all the tracks I had in Ableton. And then I exported it and sent it to some guys. And then 3 days later, the guys from Fidelis were playing the track.
Oh wow.
And I was like, okay, I have to delete more stuff of my tracks. I just, just keep it simple and make it interesting to listen to. And it's also, now these days we can take the time for it. I mean, we all on a sort of hold, haha.
We...
And So just take your time and craft your work, and try to work with less tracks or make it simple. I think that's one of the things who got me to releasing now on Parquet and releasing on Jonas's label.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's great. So in terms of mix down, then it's like very much in the session. It's the kind of mix as you go. Is that the idea?
Sorry, once again,
so
the mixing.
Yeah. So in the mix down, is it more of a case of you mix as you go?
Yeah, 100%. And so it's not that I spend the day after like doing a mix and then go that every track is on 0 dB or -60, sorry, and then start over again. No, it's just, for me, it's also one of the creative parts to deal with during a process of making a song. So, of course, in the end, I do some mastering or maybe lower the kick -2 dB or something else. But I'm always trying to do this while I'm making music. And the fun part is that in the end, I put like some stuff on my master, but it's not quite a lot. It's just, I love this plugin.
Brilliant. Really good stuff, this. Yeah.
And what I once did, I have, I pop it out, everything, so you guys can see it. What I did is, I have an auto filter, and this is, on the export, this is off, but it's just for me to jam in the studio and then just filter as a DJ does, like on his mixer.
Yeah, I get it, yeah.
And then I have, this one is quite funny, and it's off now for the export, because this is my...
What is that?
Yeah, this is my... This is so funny, and the story is maybe too long. I'm not telling everything, but I recorded... I've put a mic in here and just recorded, or how do you say that? Measuring the studio with all the speakers and stuff.
Okay.
Or with the speakers, and I'm measuring the room, and then I got back a waveform, and then it says, well, okay, you're missing some low end parts, and there's too much.
So this is
like
kind
60.
of like a flattener for the room, right?
Yeah, and since I did this, and it's so minimal. I mean, it not goes higher than 2 dB, I think. No, since I implemented this, and then not forgetting to turn it off when exporting. I don't know, but my tracks are sounding, better.
So it's almost like your own version of like Sonarworks or something like that.
Yeah. And I started with Sonarworks, and they gave me a report of, this should be fine. And then I found some small problems with the interface, and I thought, well, this can be fixed in FabFilter, right? And then
only you would think that.
Yeah. And I think
you're such a nerd. That's why.
Mate. And I think I used, even for this, a Max for Life plugin to get the Sonarworks equalizing stuff, and then swap it, and you can implement in FabFilter an XML file.
Okay, yep.
And then it gave, it will give the amounts of frequency stuff, and then, you get the point. And then just a small bit of compression, and just a limiter, and I love this one to see that.
Yes, that's very good.
Yeah, and that's basically it, mate.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I mean, the meter and stuff is something that's really interesting. I think people need to be a little bit more clued up about.
Yeah.
For their own masters, or understanding what's going on with loudness, especially across various platforms, like the streaming platforms in particular. So yeah, we use the metric AB a lot in MYT. We love it because it gives you so much information, and again, in the loudness section, it gives you all of this, and you can actually then set the the settings on the meters to like Spotify, YouTube,
Oh, great.
Apple Music, SoundCloud, Loud Master, and then there's one really funny setting which is called "Are You Deaf?" which is like obviously just stupid loud, right?
-4 wireless.
Yeah, exactly, right, exactly. And it blows my mind, just to see how loud things are mastered these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's over. They try to overcompensate, and when I started producing, a friend of mine who helped me a lot with getting to know the programs and stuff. He was a DJ as well, and he told me, or I told him, like, I don't know, man, why can't I get my production harder or sounding bigger, or, well, not sounding bigger, but sounding harder in volume? Well, and then he told me, well, do you play your own songs? And I was like, yeah, I play my own songs. Well, there is a volume gainer on the mixer. You can it on the mixer. I was like, he's damn right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm the same, because like I've done a lot of mastering for artists over the years, and I do get comments occasionally like, oh, your masters are like quieter compared to everybody else's, and it's like, well, yeah, because they still have dynamics.
Yeah.
And you can, like, I've literally said the exact same thing to clients, which is you can turn it up on the mixer. Like the master is not as loud, but it's way more dynamic. So when you do play it loud, it's going to work even better.
Yeah.
Because it's not been absolutely crushed into a square.
Mm-hmm.
It's not been turned into like a sausage. Like a wurst.
So especially when you play on good sound systems.
Oh my god, yeah.
It will.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I have my bias when it comes to sound systems because I'm a D&B guy, but you play on a good sound system, it's going to be very unforgiving.
Yeah.
And it's going to tell people the truth.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but you mean
careful.
You can do a lot of good and funny tricks in your in Ableton itself by the utility to put it out like 100% of phase. Do you say that right? Mm-hmm. You just turn all the waveforms, and then you can just see the difference. Example between a MP3 and a WAV, and then you can just compare them, and you will then hear the difference, because then it will only you can only then hear the what's over, like the rest of the WAV, for example. And you can also do that by like a sausage and a good like dynamic song. And it's insane. The difference is so insane by like a sausage or a good dynamic compressed mastered song.
No, totally.
And I just I'm tempted to press it. I mean, or to over here it's on +10, and the compressor, it's doing its job as well. Mm-hmm. But on beforehand, for me it was quite often -7 or maybe -6, and then at a certain point I thought, well, that's way too loud. Way too loud. And then just bring it back a bit, and then the sounds can breathe again.
Yeah, totally, without a doubt. So cool stuff, man. Very cool. And you mentioned that in June you've got a release on Jonas Salbach's label.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah. Really excited for that. Mm-hmm. And it's so cool to release music on people, their label, who where you're looking up to, and Jonas is also such a nice guy, and I'm really excited for that project as well. And there's some other stuff coming up as well, some other releases, and cool. I'm still trying to do some other live streams. We're going to do a stream soon at Snow World. I don't know if you know what that is.
No.
But in the city I live, you got like a big hall with snow,
Oh wow.
and
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
like -8 degrees.
Yeah.
And I spoke. I got a lot of good friends. A good friend of mine, he's working there, and well, I was talking to him, and I thought like maybe it's cool to do a live stream over there as well. So yeah, good crazy stuff ahead.
No, definitely, dude. Definitely. I
Yeah.
like it. I like it. I mean, again, like just the visuals of like what you're coming up with, I think it was really, really great. And just your entire approach is so interesting. And what's really exciting is the fact that, you are right at the beginning of your journey where this is concerned. So, it's exciting times, mate. It really, really
Yeah.
is. And,
Yeah.
just to kind of get a bit of an insight into your thought process
Yeah.
and how you've gone about things, especially at this early stage, to kind of attract so much attention, I think is something that new artists really, really can learn a lot from. And that's what
Yeah.
really impressed me the most when I first met you, which was like, okay, this guy's like, he's quite young and he's very switched on. Like, he knows where the industry is going. He knows exactly what he can do, and he knows that he can be himself, and it can be a really innovative and quite authentic thing, which is again why I extended the invite to bring you on here tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, and thanks, mate. Thanks.
Nah, much
I mean,
appreciated.
always good fun with you, hanging and talking, and I mean, I love to talk about doing this and to step it up. But you're also, you're busy with other stuff. I know, and I think we're both busy with changing the way how people can experience music, and that's we can talk forever.
Dude, like a 15, just to let everyone know, a 15-minute long planned test of the stream yesterday took like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Like, it was ridiculous. Like, we just can't not, like,
No,
take
no, it's not
ridiculous.
no, it's not a 10-minute thing. No,
It's never a short conversation with me and you. It never is. It just spirals out into this ridiculous conversation about so many different things. And and this is why it makes it really special doing these live streams, especially right now with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
It's really important, I mean, to be honest, like we would be doing this anyway because we're friends, right? So we may as well do it in a situation where it can help one or two people, and we can have a bit of a laugh, and we can have some fun as well, and sort of just give people an insight into, because every time I have a conversation with you, I was like, wow, that's like really interesting. Like, that's really made me think. And they're the types of people you want in your life at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, mate, I really have to say, man, it's always good fun. And I saw, like, we met at Dance Fair, and then after you hosted also the 50 Hertz during ADE in the 27 hotel, and then I brought the Holtesizer.
Yeah.
You were like I even could talk to you because you were only busy with the thing. I was like, oh, mate. And then I thought, oh, okay, this is a nerd as well, and we can have some great talks in the future.
I'm like you, dude. I hide it well. I hide my nerdiness very well.
Yeah.
Only just.
Yeah.
Only just. So, dude, this has been an absolute pleasure, and it's been a blast. And just to see again just how you approach things, and just how simply you do it, but just from such a unique angle, is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It really
Thanks.
is. So, long may the success continue. Long may the interesting live streams continue. And again, because you're doing a lot of stuff from the studio on Twitch, right?
Well, I'm trying to set it up, and because it's a garage box, sometimes the internet will fall off. So I have a big antenna on the studio if there's not a pigeon in front of it, and so I'm trying to stream more on Twitch, and people can find me there as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you might have 1 or 2 new subscribers after this tonight, dude.
That will be amazing.
No, absolutely. And dude, like, when you've got a new thing to show us, and you've got maybe some new crazy controller that you've built for yourself or whatever, we'll have to do this again.
I will keep you guys up to date.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah,
this is the beginning of the Hollt era at MYT, shall we say? This is just the beginning, you know.
Well, nice.
No,
Yeah.
amazing stuff. But yeah, really, really cool stuff. And yeah, I'm just seeing the comments light up now with like people really, really enjoying it. So yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's great. But yeah, thank you very much. And thank you everyone for watching tonight, whether you're watching on the Parquet Recordings Facebook page, whether you're watching on Decoded, on the MYT page, obviously. Thank you to our AAA members for making all of this possible. And thank you also to YouTube and Twitch as well. And yeah, guys, we've got more stuff coming, as I've mentioned, in the next few weeks. And we have just so many more live streams coming. As I mentioned, we've got Enama next week at the same time, Thursday 21st of May, 7 p.m. UK time. So check for the time differences on that. And there is an event up on YouTube for that as well. And we're going to put that up on Facebook and Twitch as well. And we've also got Rinzen at the end of the month as well. And we're going to be making some announcements soon for June as well. So if you like what you see here, again, maybe like our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Maybe you could give us a little follow on Twitch, because we're starting to grow on there a little bit. And also as well, you know, we've got an amazing monthly membership program called MYT AAA, where we do this every single week for anything up to 4 to 6 hours. So give that a little look there. Website is www.transition.studio. I have been your host, Paul Nolan, this evening, and thank you very much for watching. And enjoy the rest of your day, your evening, your morning, wherever it is in the world that you're watching from. And I